Hi, welcome back on my channel. As we are currently allowed to travel again, I thought that maybe some of you are planning your trips and maybe looking for some tips how to plan a trip so it's not going to be chaotic. It might be something new for some of you, or you just want to find out how other people plan your trips. So I've got 10 tips how to plan a trip. These tips are coming from my experience and I hope they're going to be helpful for you guys. So let's get started. Tip number 1, date. What I found out is that everything is way more expensive during the weekends because obviously lots of people have weekends off work, so they're going for weekend breaks. So that's why flights, accommodation, tickets, everything is way more expensive during the weekend. So if you can avoid weekends and travel during weekdays. Also, hours matter, and sometimes if you taking a train or a flight, check hours because the early hours or really late can be really cheap. So that's something that you also should remember about. 2. How are you going to get there? So obviously when we think about traveling abroad, we're thinking of traveling by airplane. Hey. But it's not the only option actually. When I was traveling to Ireland, I took a ferry. When I was traveling to Paris, I took Eurostar. So check all your options because some of them might be more or less expensive. Many airports are quite far from the city, so then you need to get a transfer from the airport to the city center, and it's usually quite expensive. So you should calculate all your costs in that case, because when I was traveling to Paris, I looked at this and actually Eurostar was a bit cheaper and more convenient because by Eurostar you're going straight to the city center, so it's easier to get from this railway station to anywhere in Paris. So that was one of the reasons why I took Eurostar. Also, neither me and my mom travel by Eurostar, so I was like, hey, let's try this, it's going to be a new experience, and I actually like it. Tip number 3, accommodation. Obviously when we think about accommodation we think about hotels, but hotels are actually quite expensive. Well, again, when I was looking for accommodation in Paris, I looked at hotels first, but they were so expensive. Finding something for £200 for 2 people for like 2 nights, it wasn't possible when you're looking for like 3-star hotel. When it comes to accommodation, in my case, I don't want to spend too much money because you're just going to sleep there and have a shower. That's it. You spend all day out anyway. So what's the point of spending loads of money for your hotel / accommodation? Recently I started using Airbnb and it's the best. Obviously what you need to do, be really careful, read reviews, look for super hosts, because I had one situation that wasn't nice, actually 2. One, I booked a flat, I think, or on Airbnb, and I messaged the host asking, hey, could we check in earlier, because that's the time we will arrive in London. I didn't get a message back for like a month, and it was like 2 days before the trip and I still didn't get any message like if it's accepted or not. So I had to message Airbnb and I got my money back. So I was a bit stressed about that. So be really careful, read reviews about the accommodation, so that's the most important thing. So Airbnb is often really cheap. You can find really nice and cheap options. Also, when it comes to looking for accommodation in overall, obviously in city center, close to tourist attractions, they're going to be really expensive. So what I do is I look something quite close to all the tourist attractions, but what's more important for me is looking for accommodation that is close to bus station or railway or tube station. If a tube station or a bus stop is within 5-10 minutes walk from the accommodation, it's a right place. You need to check how to commute from one place to another so it's convenient for you. When it comes to London, London has this thing that everything is really far from each other. When it comes to Paris, everything is within walking distance from each other, and that's something I was really surprised about. So in London, obviously, you need to take a tube anywhere. You can't really walk because it's going to take ages. But in Paris, you can really walk from one place to another. For a tip for how many days you should go somewhere. Obviously, it's going to depend on the place and also on how many attractions there are, on how many days you can afford. So I can't really tell. When it comes to Paris, I would say 3 days are enough. Within 3 days I managed to go to all the places I wanted to see, so it was really enough. If you plan on going to Disney World, I think you should add 1 or 2 days to your trip. I always also try to plan my trips that I arrive in the morning and leave even in the evening. When it comes to London, I've been there so many times and I still haven't seen everything. I would say to see everything in London, it will take you about a week and you still might not be able to see everything. So it really depends on the place. Prague, 1 day, maybe 2. Brussels, 1 day I would say is enough. So it really depends on the place where you are. Maybe read some travel guides, watch some YouTube videos, some vlogs from places. Just have a look what places you want to see, how many of them there are, and then try to plan it. Tip number 5 is the transport. So basically, how you're going to commute from one place to another. It was already mentioned in this video, so it depends on the place. Like I said, in London you need to take tube or bus, but in Paris you can walk from one place to another, the same in Prague. So it's going to depend on you and if you like to walk or not. I really like to walk, I don't mind walking. I could walk 500 miles, I don't mind. So it depends on your abilities, to be honest, but you need to check. Obviously, there are many options right now, so you can also rent a scooter, a bike, so there are many options how to get around the destination. Tip number 6, food. Obviously, it's going to depend on you, what you like to eat or not. In my case, it's usually just having some breakfast and then some like late lunch / dinner later during the day. In Paris, we had a bakery right outside our Airbnb, so in the morning I got for me and my mom croissants, and then around, I don't know, like 6-ish in the evening we just had some more food in the restaurant. So obviously food is going to depend on your budget, because eating in some restaurants might be expensive, so some cheaper options like fast food or something might be for you. If you like to travel on budget, you might prepare food, so when you get to your holiday destination you might just do some shopping and then prepare food for all your days. It's going to depend on you and how much money you can spend on food. Tip number 7 is when to come to some places. If you know that the place is really popular, go there as early as possible. So when it came to Louvre, we had booked tickets for like 9 or 10 in the morning. So we were there a bit earlier, so there were not so many people. If you want to take photos and don't have a crowd in the background, I would say 6 in the morning, honestly. It's really difficult to take nice photos in really famous locations. Tip number 8 is about how to travel a bit cheaper. If you are a student, get international student identity card called ISIC. So if you're a student, you can get this card, and so then you can get to places a bit cheaper or even for free. Also, if you're from Europe, then people that are younger than 26 years old can get to some attractions for free. You just need to show your ID. For Louvre you can get for free, to Arc de Triomphe as well. I'm not sure about London, but in London many museums are for free anyway. So that's something you should check, because to some places you can get for free. Some places also have 3 days for anyone, so that's something you should definitely check. Tip number 9, attractions. How to get cheaper tickets. Some cities have something called City Pass, so it allows you to get to some places a bit cheaper if you buy the City Pass. Also, some attractions you can get like a combined ticket, so you can mix and match attractions. Especially in London, for example, you can get to Madame Tussauds, Sea Life, London Eye a bit cheaper. Also, if you book tickets in advance, it's going to be cheaper. Like booking tickets online, it's usually 10-20% cheaper. So that's something you should plan ahead as well and check, so it can let you save a bit of money. In some days I think usually to museums or something, on some places like that, you can get for free, so go on the website of particular attraction and check it. And the last tip is to plan. Write down the list of all the places you want to see. So first do the research, write down all the places you want to see, then go Google Maps, check all the places when they are, maybe even save them on your Google Maps, and then just plan. So I did it with all my trips recently. So when it came to Paris, I have a list of places that all the places I wanted to see and things to do, and then I just planned, and if I booked ticket, I wrote down at what time I need to be there, and then plan all the things around to see places that are nearby and all of that. Don't plan everything, because what I like to do is when I travel is that I walk around and I'm like, oh, this street looks nice, and I just go there, and then I see a nice looking roof and I'm like, oh, I would like to see what's that. So that's what traveling with me looks like. So that would be all my tips for traveling and planning your trips. If you like this video, leave it a thumbs up. If it was helpful, let me know, and I hope to see you really soon. Bye!